Good morning, everyone. This is the February 7th County Board meeting, Sherburne County Board of Commissioners. I invite you to stand for a moment of silence and then the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, and with that, we'll move on to approving the regular meeting proposed agenda. Are there any changes to our agenda? Hearing none, I'd be open to a motion to approve the proposed agenda.
Madam Chair, I would move that we approve the proposed agenda.
Motion made by Commissioner Felber. Is there a second?
Madam Chair, I'll second that motion.
Seconded by Commissioner Danielowski. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Motion has carried. Moving on, we're in our new format now, so right now we go into item number 2, which is our open forum. And do we have any?
Yes, Madam Chair, we have 3 speakers signed up.
Okay, great. So if you would like to call out.
Our first speaker will be Gary Tonsager of Elk River, and he is speaking on the PRO Act.
Got some treats here, I guess. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to our new County Commissioner Board members. Appreciate you being here. Elections matter. By just 321 votes, the Democrats secured a slim 34-33 majority in the House of Representatives to give them total control of the Minnesota state government. Despite their slim majority, their first order of business was to pass the most extreme abortion law in the country. Minnesota Governor Tim Walz signed a bill into law that will legalize abortions up to birth. Walz signed into law the Protect Reproductive Options Act, or the PRO Act, to enshrine in state statute a fundamental right to abortion without limits or safeguards. The bill had passed the House and Senate by narrow margins after Democrat leaders pushed it through the legislature in the opening days of the session. The bill allows abortions on demand, late in pregnancy, when unborn babies are viable and feel excruciating pain. The bill also denies parents the right to know if their minor daughter is seeking an abortion. The PRO Act means a right to abort any baby for any reason at any time up to birth. It means that the elective killing of a human being is in utero is perfectly legal, even in the 3rd trimester of pregnancy, when the child can feel excruciating pain and could live outside the womb. Walz's extreme abortion policy puts Minnesota in company of many small handful of countries around the world, including North Korea and China. It's extreme, inhumane, and harmful to women and children who deserve much better. So much for Minnesota nice. During the House and Senate floor debates, slim majorities rejected dozens of amendments that would have made the bill less extreme. They defeated amendments including ones to protect unborn children in the 3rd trimester, to protect the barbaric procedure known as partial birth abortion, to provide an option of anesthesia when unborn children can feel pain, and to protect women's health by requiring that 3rd trimester abortions take place in hospital and that the abortion facilities be licensed by the state. They even rejected a requirement to give the baby medical care if it survives abortion. It allows late abortion for any reason whatsoever, and it is an open invitation to notorious late abortion practitioners to come into Minnesota and set up shop. Here in Minnesota now, you don't even need to be a doctor or have a licensed facility to perform an abortion. The lack of guardrails to protect women and children is appalling. That's why elections do matter. Just 321 votes separated this bill from passing or not passing. Thank you.
Next, we have Kari Watkins of St. Cloud speaking of the,
I would like to call for a brief recess, a 3-minute recess of the board. Thank you. As the prerogative of the chair, I would like to adjust our agenda to move us into item number 5.1, and I invite Sheriff Joel Brott to join us at the podium, and then we will move back into our public forum. Just believe that that's a better course of agenda items for this morning. Thank you.
Madam Chair, board members, thanks for making the accommodation to us. I know open forum is very important to the community and to the county board. We have a special guest here today. It will just take a few minutes, and I know the family has some obligations. So we have a life-saving award this morning, and so if I could ask the family members to please approach the podium. Well, let me introduce our guest of honor, 4-year-old Asher Millis, by far the youngest life-saving award recipient I think that we've ever given. His dad, Tyler, mom, Rachel, and then grandmother, Michelle. So welcome. So for the award, on the afternoon of November 20th, 2022, Rachel was at her Orrock Township home when she suffered a medical emergency and collapsed in her kitchen. Tyler was traveling out of state for work when he got the call from his mother, Michelle. Tyler's mother had just gotten a call from a 4-year-old Asher who said Rachel was down in the kitchen, blinking her eyes and unable to speak. Tyler called 911 and told Asher to unlock the front door of their home so paramedics could get in. But that wasn't all Asher would do to help save his mom's life. He was able to hook up Rachel's nebulizer and get it working. He also ushered his 2 siblings, a 2-year-old and 10-month-old, out of the kitchen so they wouldn't have to see their mother in distress, and giving paramedics room to work on Rachel. Paramedics arrived, stabilized Rachel, and took her to the hospital. She had been ill with pneumonia and influenza A, correct? That had gotten so bad that her organs started to shut down. When paramedics arrived, she was in septic shock. Doctors told the family that if Asher hadn't done what he did, Rachel likely wouldn't be alive today. Rachel has made a full recovery. Please join me in congratulating Asher as we present him with a life-saving award. So, Award of Excellence. In recognition of outstanding excellence, superior performance, and accomplishment, the Sherburne County Sheriff's Office has proudly conferred upon Asher Millis the distinguished honor of Life-Saving Award. Congratulations, Asher. We also thought it was very fitting to buy Asher some lifesavers. I've asked the family if they'd be open to a picture with the county board. They're willing to do so, if the board would be so kind to join us in front of the dais.
Good job, bud. You got good job.
Thank you for sharing your story. Congratulations, Asher. That is awesome. So cool.
All right, you want to try again? Let's try again.
Ready? Baby bounces.
5. Other side. Down low. Now try this one. Up in space. In your face. Bye. We'll see you guys later. Thank you so much, Bruce. Okay. First responder.
This is a different college.
Okay, we'll resume our regular agenda at this point, and just want to make a comment that hearing from our public is very important. And as you've watched our board here and many others across the state with Russell, how appropriate or when that is appropriate, you will see an example today of why we've chosen to try to move open forum for different reasons in a different space. There are boards in the state that have chosen not to do open forum anymore for various reasons. So we here value open forum, we value hearing from our public, but today was an example of not knowing what comments are going to come during open forum, that the nature of those comments may have not been appropriate for a 4-year-old who was receiving an award during our general meeting. So with that, we will move back to open forum and invite our second speaker up.
Our second speaker is Kari Watkins of St. Cloud, and she'll be speaking on the new law.
Good morning, Madam Chair and Commissioners. I'm Kari Watkins. I'm from Haven Township. Gary and I do not collectively talk about what we're going to share, but we happen to be sharing on the same topic. And I guess it's hard to follow after you see a 4-year-old child that saved his mom's life. I'm just going to read that act that Gary talked about. The definitions. For purpose of this section, reproductive health care means health care offered, arranged, or furnished for the purpose of preventing pregnancy, terminating a pregnancy, and managing pregnancy loss, or improving maternal health and birth outcomes. Reproductive health care includes, but is not limited to, contraception, sterilization, preconception care, maternity care, abortion care, family planning and fertility services, and counseling regarding reproductive health care. Reproductive freedom. Every individual has a fundamental right to make autonomous decisions about the individual's own reproductive health, including fundamental right to use or refuse reproductive health care. Every individual, who becomes pregnant has a fundamental right to continue the pregnancy and give birth, or obtain an abortion, and to make autonomous decisions about how to exercise this fundamental right. There are no amendments for age or parental consent or even information. Even protections against sterilization of a minor are not allowed. This law allows abortion of the preborn baby through the entire pregnancy up until birth. The vague language is extremely dangerous for some out of our most vulnerable populations. Now, I'm sure you're thinking this is not a county issue, but I argue it is. Some of the legislators who voted for this horrific bill were elected in Sherburne County. Since Sherburne County uses voting systems that have been proven to be hackable and uses a third party, ERIC, to manage our voter rolls, I'd say there is something Sherburne County can do to make sure our laws protect and do not cause harm. Bring local control to our elections by getting rid of electronic voting and outside management of our voting rolls. Thank you.
And our third speaker?
Our third speaker is Terry Dickinson of Big Lake, and she'll be speaking on farmland.
Good morning. I'm asking you to please create a resolution or ordinance that prohibits the use of farmland for solar gardens. Everyone has the freedom to earn money, but it should not be at the expense of potentially poisoning the farmland. From what I have read, one can no longer farm the fields after solar panels have been on them because they likely leak poisons into the ground. Landowners and neighbors should know the truth before any more of these solar farms are set up. Even Biden has publicly stated that we face food shortages, and we have all experienced skyrocketing food prices and occasional shortages. In addition, I read an article that stated over 50 foreign countries own farmland in the United States. Some of these countries are hostile to our constitutionally protected liberties. I was shocked to see how many acres foreign countries owned, but I saw that the top 8 owned from over 1 million acres to over 9 million acres each. I am submitting a map from the USDA of foreign holdings of U.S. agricultural land through December of 2021, which states that Minnesota is one of the states with the most foreign-owned agricultural land. I'm requesting that you take action to secure the precious resource of farmland for the production of healthful foods for our families, our communities, and our state. I do not know all the details about the negative effects of solar panels on the land, so I'm asking you to protect your constituents and our precious farmland.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, we do have one online submittal as well. When you're ready, I can read that into the
Okay.
record. Now?
Go ahead, sure.
The county does allow online submissions as well, and a hard copy was passed out, but since we're within the 15-minute window, I'll just read it so the public can hear it as well. This is a comment to the county board from Michael, and I might get his last name wrong, Burgoyne. Burgoyne? Thank you. And he writes, I am a Sherburne County resident and am a Marine Corps veteran. As a veteran, I took an oath to serve and protect the Constitution of the United States of America. I still believe and live by that oath. I see every day that our Constitution is under attack and legislation little by little is eroding our rights. I am contacting your office today to ask that the appropriate staff will enact local law claiming Sherburne County as a Second Amendment sanctuary county. Thank you, and God bless you, and God bless the United States of America.
Okay, thank you. That concludes our open forum, so I appreciate those individuals that spoke with us today. Moving on to item number 3, our consent agenda. There are no changes to the consent agenda. I'd be open to a motion.
Madam Chair, may I make just a quick point on the consent agenda? We did have a change in an attachment that was handed out to the board, and the packet was republished. I just wanted to note it had to do with the board meeting schedule, and so the correct schedule is in the official record. It's also on the desk, and it was republished for the board. Thank you for a couple of commissioners who get the Eagle Eyes Award because they caught it and communicated it over the weekend.
Okay, thank you.
Madam Chair, I'll move the consent agenda as presented and updated.
Okay, motion made by Commissioner Danielowski,
And a second.
seconded by Commissioner Hulse. Any other comments or questions? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion has carried. Moving on to agenda item number 4, announcements. Administrator Messelt.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the commission. Just a couple of announcements and then a couple of pictures I need to share with the board. First of all, a note, we had, as you can see, we had County Commissioner Training 101, sponsored by the Association of Minnesota Counties. And I found this picture, I thought we should share it so we can see our smiling faces down there. And congrats to Commissioner Hulse, Commissioner Gray, and Commissioner Felber for attending, and I hope it was a worthwhile session and you got to meet some great folks from around the state. It was really nice to see a large group there, so it was wonderful. The second picture, just so you get a flavor, this was Saturday at the United We Shiver Freezing for the Cause. This was at Big Lake, so a little chilly, not as chilly as Friday, but pretty close. The United Way, a local United Way, raised $41,113 for 18 nonprofits in the area. And just so you know, the Sherburne County team raised $1,135. There were 130 total jumpers, of which you can see 5 were affiliated with Sherburne County. An anonymous comment was made that they did not see the administrator there and they did not see a commissioner there. And so apparently the staff have put out a challenge that next year there needs to be 1 commissioner and 1 administrator jumping. So I'll let you guys figure out who that will be, and we'll plan for a year from now.
I just want to make a point. I was there cheering all of them on. That's the role I'll take, cheering.
That's true.
all of them
You
on.
also did not make the anonymous comment, so I'll let you off the hook. But the gauntlet is down, just so you know. So, but anyhow, congratulations to the Sherburne County team. It was really fun, wasn't it, Keisha?
It was awesome to see him do that. That was super cool.
I think me and Jessica can both say it wasn't as bad as we thought it was going to be.
And in fact, Jessica, you want to add your thoughts on it? So.
I would do it again. Not as bad as you think.
In fact, didn't you say it was waiting in line was colder than jumping in?
For sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought the costumes were great too. So anyhow, so you guys can figure this one out. You have a year, so think about it. A couple other things then on the calendar. The Greater St. Cloud Development Corporation is holding its annual meeting on the 16th of February. It will be at Capital One in St. Cloud. It's a good activity, especially if you're interested in regional economic development. Just want to make sure that you're aware of it, and if you can attend, that it's on your calendar. In addition, Transportation Day at the Capitol will be on March 1st. So Andrew, of course, will go there. I will be going as well. I know that the normally seated commissioners may not be able to attend, so if any other commissioner is interested in going down for the Transportation Day, let me know, and we'll make arrangements to carpool. Also a note that the county board will be in Washington, D.C. this weekend for the National Association of Counties annual legislative conference, as well as some meetings on Capitol Hill on Monday and Tuesday. So have a safe trip and have a very productive trip, and we wish you all well. Following that, the next week is the AMC State Legislative Conference, February 22nd through the 23rd, and Keisha's made arrangements for everybody. So if you have any changes or questions, give Keisha or me a call, and we'll make sure that you are scheduled for that. And then just a couple pieces of correspondence. There was a nice editorial that I put in your packet that was run in the St. Cloud Times from one of our state representatives. In addition, and I'll pass this on, we did receive this week. We are invited, and commissioners in particular are invited to attend the investiture ceremony for our newest member of the bench, Judge Stanislawski. If you've not been to an investiture ceremony, it is really powerful. It really grounds the fact that we are a nation of laws and that we respect the laws that we the people create, and it really puts in place that importance. So I'll pass this around. You can take a look at it and write down the specifics. And then last but not least, just a note that there is a comment period open for the review by the Minnesota Public Utilities Commission of the 2021 Minnesota Biennial Transmission Project Report. Given that we do have a proposed transmission line going through the county to be upgraded, I wanted the board to be aware of this. Staff will be looking to see whether we will submit any comments. The comment period closes on March 15th, and so if staff feels that we would like to submit comments, we'll bring them to the board either the end of February or early in March. And if anybody else is interested, you can make a copy of that or ask me and I'll make copies so you can distribute it to your townships and the cities that you represent. That's it for administrative updates.
Okay, thank you. As we've already completed agenda item 5.1, thank you for the adjustment in the schedule. We will move on to item 5.2, consider approval of a conditional use permit for a professional office. And welcome Lynn Watashik.
Good morning, Commissioners. So this is from the January Planning Commission meeting. Cardinal Enterprises LLC is requesting a conditional use permit for a professional office, which in this case is a veterinary clinic. This is in Big Lake Township on the Mississippi River in the Mississippi Special Use District. Planning Commission recommended approval with the 6 conditions and the findings of fact that are in your packet.
Okay, so how would the board like to do this?
I would move that we approve that.
Motion is made by Commissioner Felber. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Seconded by Commissioner Gray. Any comments or questions? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion has carried. Thank you. Agenda item number 5.3, consider the approval of preliminary residential standard plat of Pines Edge.
And this is by JDA Builders Incorporated. This is 4 lots. It's also in Big Lake Township on 11.38 acres in the General Rural District. Planning Commission recommended approval with the 3 conditions.
Okay, so I'd be open to a motion.
Madam Chair, I would move that we approve that.
Motion made by Commissioner Felber. Is there a second?
Madam Chair, I'll second that.
Seconded by Commissioner Danielowski. Any comments or questions? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion has carried.
Thank you.
Thanks, Lynn. Moving on to agenda item number 5.4, our annual spring load restriction discussion with Andrew Witter.
Morning, Madam Chair, County Board members. Thanks for the opportunity. I just wanted to provide a little bit of background. Keisha, do we have the map attached there? Could you perhaps slide to that? Thank you. So each year we take a look at our road system and evaluate kind of what it wants to look like as far as weights and loading restrictions. I'll preface this conversation. This is only for roughly an 8-week period during the spring when our roads are most vulnerable. If you think about our road system in the fall and winter, we start seeing that freeze start from the road surface coming down anywhere between 2, 4, sometimes 6 feet deep, depending on how bad the winter is. In the springtime, that starts melting from the top, essentially creating a barrier for that moisture to get down into the ground. That's when our roads are most vulnerable. It's when we've got that moisture trapped in that top layer and we lose the strength in our road during that time. As you can see on the map here, we've been doing a great job over the years upgrading and maintaining our roadway system to maintain that 10-ton system, although the routes in blue provide that system that allows us to really perform the business that we need to do, whether that be commercial business or agricultural business during the spring months, again, protecting our roadway system. As we continue to rebuild and reconstruct our roadway system, we work on getting that system upgraded to 10 tons to continue to allow even a better network and a better system that's out there that we see today. Last thing I want to note is that outside of that 8-week period, which is specifically defined by MnDOT, they tell us when that spring load restriction starts and when it ends every year. Outside of that roughly 8-week period, our entire system is 10-ton the rest of the year. So with that, I'll open it to any questions or comments. I don't need any approval on this. This is just an informational item.
Okay, thanks, Andrew. Any questions or comments? This happens annually, happens every year.
Correct.
We would love all of our roads to be 10-ton, but I mean, that's the ideal, and don't know that that will ever happen with,
We're working towards it.
I know.
Yeah.
Okay, this, as Andrew shared, is information only, so no questions or comments.
Thank
So
you.
Thank you, Andrew.
Madam Chair, I did have one quick question. Andrew, how do we advertise that, or how do we get that message out besides the signage, I'm sure, that goes up on each road indicating that road restrictions are in place?
So yeah, as Commissioner Danielowski, as you alluded to, the formal legal method is by signing the route. That's how it's enforceable. Now, typically what we end up doing is MnDOT will do a whole slew of press releases. We'll do some press releases. We can do some Facebook posts, things like that, in order to get that information out to the community.
And it's my understanding that garbage vehicles are exempt.
There's a certain class of vehicles, garbage is one of them, that are exempt from these laws, is my understanding. So,
Along with emergency vehicles, I'm sure.
yes.
Okay.
Yep. So the other thing we can do too is, I know we've got a listserv, an email listserv. I can send this map out to all of the townships and cities within Sherburne County.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Okay, moving on to agenda item number 5.5. We welcome Dan Weber to talk about our American Rescue Plan Act update.
Good morning, Madam Chair, Commissioners. This week we only have one expense to discuss for approval. It is for healthcare overtime costs, eligibility specialists, and HHS. These are all COVID-related costs that are outside the normal budget, so we're looking for reimbursement through the ARPA funds. Be looking for a motion to approve.
Madam Chair, I'll make that motion to approve that request.
Motion made by Commissioner Danielowski. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Seconded by Commissioner Felber. Any questions or comments for Dan? We are in workshop later.
Correct.
Talking about this generally, so that'll be a great update. Okay, hearing and seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion has carried.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dan. Moving right along to agenda item number 6, Commissioner Correspondence Committee Reports. So this is, as I said before, a time for us to share what work we've been doing on behalf of the county as we are out and about over the last, since I think it's January, looking back. So January 18th through February 6th. So who would like to start? And also, of course, anything pertinent that you think you want to bring back to this board, so.
Madam Chair, I'll start.
Great.
So obviously you saw my smiling face on the AMC conference, so three of us attended that. Also had a meeting with the Solid Waste Committee this week. One thing that it's an area for us to keep an eye on, the legislation coming out on the 2040 zero carbon policy includes in it some legislation around closing or potentially closing the remaining trash to fuel incinerators. So the concern for us to keep an eye on will be that trash then will have to go to landfill. And so we'll need to keep that in mind. It could potentially be cause an increase in the rate at which landfills go. Now, it's out quite a ways, obviously, but I think from a planning standpoint, it would be prudent for us to keep that in mind. Also met with the Mississippi, I and a few others met with the Mississippi Watershed Committee to talk about the One Watershed, One Plan. And that is underway. The public comment period is open, and I believe is open through February 15th. And so that will continue, and it's going to follow the same process that the Rum River one did, which I believe you were a part of as well. And then finally, I had some constituent meetings this week with Mayor Dietz from Elk River. On Saturday, we had about 40 people attend, some good questions, primarily around just some county road concerns, lighting, and those sort of things.
Thank you. Marianne?
Yep. I had on the 18th, a sub-coalition meeting that is a substance use prevention group that gets together. And I just wanted to let everybody know that we are doing a sticker shock campaign in regards to providing stickers to go on pizza boxes in the different communities. And it's geared towards the vaping issue and trying to make sure that there's enough information out there for young people, parents of young people, as to what the harms are in vaping. Also, 19th, I attended the Xcel Energy Solar Pre-Construction meeting. That was just hearing a lot of what the process is that's in place to head towards Xcel Energy's large solar project, which is in the hands of the UPC? PCU, Public Utilities Commission. All right, and then also attended the annual City of Big Lake Joint Workshop meeting on the 19th as well. That is an annual meeting that the city hosts and invites Big Lake Township, Orac Township, the school district, and board member representation, and my fellow commissioner, Greg, was there as well. A lot of great information. We pretty much do a rundown of what the previous year entailed and what everybody was looking to do into the future. So it's a good get-together that we do yearly. On the 26th, I attended the county EDA meeting. That was an organizational meeting. We basically elected a lot of the things like the chair, the election of officers, appointed the executive director, approved the official newspaper, the depository, and such, and our calendar. So that was pretty much what that was. And we did also have a conversation on what finalizing our mission and vision statement, and also going over some feedback on the strategic plan. And then I attended that same day the Northland Reliability Project. Basically, this is a project that is looking to update the transmission lines that run down from Grand Rapids. The corridor that goes through Sherburne County comes down County Road 25 north and then crosses Highway 10. It will run down County Road 11, and it will end and connect to the Big Oak substation. This is just the second stakeholder meeting that they've held to basically show where they're at. The timeline anticipated construction of this will be the permitting process and stuff is going to be 2024 through 2026. Right now, there is a public engagement period, and there is, you can connect to northlandreliabilityproject.com if you have any comments that you want to make on the project. And then it will also then have if all is approved and permitted, the construction will start in 2027. And then I also attended the Tri-County Solid Waste meeting with Pope Douglas, January 31st. That was just a meeting. We have a contract with Pope Douglas where about 30% of our waste does go up to the incinerator in Elk River for burn. So to your point, Andrew, we're going to have to start looking to see what this means in the future. So it was a good meeting. It was good to get in front of the body that we have a contract with and get some questions answered and how we're going to move forward. I also then attended the Mississippi Watershed One Plan kickoff meeting that was held up at the Becker History Center, and it was a very well-attended meeting with a lot of participation and comments, and so it was good to see that that's going to get off to a good start in engagement and involvement. And then the next day, then, February 1st, I attended a comp plan farming and ag land listening session, and that again was very well attended by a lot of farmers in the area, listening to what it is that they are looking to see what Sherburne County will look like. The comp plan update is a plan that will vision the next 20 years, and normally they have a 10-year update cycle. So it was good to hear all their input as well while this plan is being developed. And attended a solid waste advisory meeting that same day, and we elected the chairperson, which will, due to the fact that Brian Lawrence has termed out according to the bylaws, the vice chair was elected to move up, and that's Diana Weisenfluth, and she moved up to be the chairperson, and Pat Arnold was elected to be the vice chair. And we went through a lot of good information, looked at the bylaws, and went over those, and then we also approved the proposed budget that will come forward for approval here to the board. And also on February 2nd, I attended the Big Lake Sub-Coalition meeting, and that's a more focused meeting that the school does here in Big Lake to basically look to engage and make sure that they're doing everything they can to educate their youth on the different substances that are out there that definitely we don't want them to get involved with. And then attended the same update for the Mississippi One Watershed, One Plan that Andrew had mentioned. Also, there is a meeting coming up, kind of like a Mississippi River St. Cloud Watershed Collaborative, March 2nd through April 24th. The Sherburne History Center will be having stories from people in the watershed about the role water plays in their work and recreation. There'll be interactive exhibits, so I highly encourage anybody to be able to stop by and just check that out. And if we could put this on our Facebook page, that would be good. And the last event then that we talked about was the United We Shiver in Big Lake. And it was so cool to see how many people were willing to jump in that lake. I think I heard the temperature of the lake was 32 degrees, and I'm sure you guys felt it. But it was awesome, and I will cheer those people on every day of the week for that. I think that is awesome that they are willing to do that. So that's my report. Thank you.
Well, I also did attend the pre-construction meeting for Sherco Solar 1 and 2, as Rayanne did. That was informative. They're, in the beginning, they've already decided that they're starting to take down tree lines to move forward with that project. Lisa and I attended the MICA Legislative Forum in Duwame, which was very lightly attended by legislators just because they were in session and didn't get there, and the weather didn't cooperate either. I attended the Haven Township Board meeting. They have some concerns about the 33rd Street Bridge and County Road 65 rebuilding, and they want to have a discussion or a workshop with the county in regards to planning and zoning. They want to move some of that into a different direction. I also attended with Greg and Andrew the AMC New Commissioners Training St. Paul. Attended the 33rd Street open house at the Haven Town Hall in regards to the bridge. They have 3 potential tracks that they're going to put through that will cause hardship to any of the landowners that it's going through. It's not going to be a perfect situation. Someone's not going to be happy with that situation. Also attended the Ag open house with Rayanne in regards for planning and zoning and the comp plan. The Sherburne County Association Township meeting at the History Center, was there that night. The first steps, this was probably my most interesting meeting. I'm the alternate on this, but I was completely lost of what this committee was going in as an alternate. Lisa couldn't make it. I got to give kudos to the 3 Sherburne County staff members who were there and spent an hour with me afterwards exactly explaining to me what was going on with the infants and youth and the home visits. It was incredibly enlightening for me. So if you don't want to go, Lisa, I will, because I thought it was fascinating. Also attended the One Watershed, One Plan Commissioner with Andrew and Rayanne. And then I attended the St. Cloud City Council meeting of Clear Lake last night. They are in the process of approving a solar farm in the heart of Clear Lake. So I was at that meeting.
Greg?
Yeah, I went to the joint community meeting also, and everybody there, there's a lot of discussion there about infrastructure and the need to keep funding it and how we're going to fund it. So tax levy, tax base increases via new housing were discussed a lot. One of the big general concerns that a lot of people seem to have was concerned with the legalization of THC, as it didn't come with a regulatory framework or any sort of funding. That's causing trouble for various local governments, and it's definitely showing up in the schools. Probably one of the other things I picked up out of that is going to be a new pickleball court in Big Lake Township. I don't really know what pickleball is, but apparently it's a good deal, so we're getting one of those. We can look forward to that. Government 101, the things that I found, definitely finding out a lot about more of the statutory structure and the history of county government. There are a lot of things I didn't really know about that, how these governments are set up, the differences between administrators, coordinators, these kinds of things. We had great discussions on ethics and open meeting law, great discussions of what the actual job of a county board should be, charting the course versus trying to steer the ship, setting the policies rather than trying to be overrunning the administrators who are taking care of business for you. I thought that was really good. A lot of discussion about unfunded state and federal mandates. We talk about that all the time here. And there was also fun about the struggles that other counties have. Like down in Jackson County, they're dealing with the pipeline issue, but the pipeline isn't bringing anything to be taking something out. Apparently CO2 is a big waste issue for the ethanol plants, and it's gotten to the point now where they're trying to put in a pipeline to actually haul that away. That's kind of an interesting thing. I didn't even really know that that was a big issue with the ethanol plants. We went to the Tri-County Joint Powers meeting, and Rand covered that pretty well. But they do have those burners are set up to operate for another 30 years, but it looks like with state regulations, they're not going to be allowed to do so. The One Watershed, One Plan meeting, we covered that a lot. It's a really good deal, I think. I went to the Violent Offender Task Force meeting. They're doing a good job of tackling violent crime. And then went to the Sherburne County Association of Townships meeting. They discussed new proposed legislation for payment in lieu of taxes to local government on state-owned lands. That's a good thing for us as a county and for the other local governments in our area. And discuss new legislation to help townships deal with orderly annexation. That's been something that's been a big problem in the past. Going to give the townships a little bit more input in the annexation process. I think that's a great deal. And then Bruce Price from our Sherburne County Veterans Office discussed a lot of the improved programs for veterans. So if you do have veterans in their family, you want to get them down to see Bruce. There's a lot of new programs. There's a lot of new funding. And our office over there, kudos to those guys. They are bringing in about 50 new veterans a month on the average, to get access to these programs. So they're just doing a heck of a good job over there.
And people thought that we did 2 board meetings a month. I remember when I was first elected, they're like, well, 2 meetings a month, 2 meetings a month. I think this illustrates the work that goes on and all the things that we're involved in. My list, many of you were at most of the things I was also at. So quickly, Great River Regional Library Board of Trustees met. The MICA annual meeting. The other part of that meeting that I found interesting was that the housing commissioner for the governor's office presented and was there. And often, or not always, do counties get involved in housing. And I think we're definitely taking a bigger role at the table with housing, recognizing it affects so much of our constituents in so many different ways, and workforce issues and things like that. So I addressed the Public Works Department. They had a department meeting, and I was invited to come and just speak to them and greet them on behalf of all of you and share a little bit on high level what's going on in the county. The Rum River One Watershed One Plan Committee met. I attended the Region 3 Leadership and Planning Board. That's a joint planning board between Central Minnesota Jobs and Training and Career Force in St. Cloud, made up of 13 counties, so 13 different county people are around the table for that, talking primarily about workforce issues in our region. I had a pre-audit interview for the audit that's going to be done or is in the process of being done. They always interview the chair of your board for that, so everyone will have a chance to do that. That went well. I also addressed the sheriffs. The sheriffs met with part of their department, the licensed people, as Sheriff Joel Brott called it, so went there and greeted them and thanked them for their work on behalf of the board. Was at the Sherburne County Area Townships meeting, which many of you were at. Central Minnesota Council on Aging had my first meeting and orientation with that group. That is also a joint powers board that meets, and we have, can't remember how many counties are involved, but 6, 8, 9, something like that. So is our Central Minnesota region for aging issues. I also participated in the TRICAP audit review. Our TRICAP audit has been completed. We came out with a clean, unmodified opinion, so that'll go to the whole board next Thursday evening. But being on executive board, we get like a preview of it. And then last Thursday and Friday, I facilitated the Futures Committee through the Association of Minnesota Counties. And our topics this year were the workforce issues, demographics across our state, our economy, and then also the challenges with our jails, with staffing issues, and especially dispatch in the jails and the sheriff's office. So it was really a full agenda, and really Futures is made up of staff and commissioners from across the state that we try to do a little deep dive into issues that are pertinent at county board level. So, anything else? Okay, we've been up to a lot. Great work, everyone. With that, it's about 9:52. We're going to take a recess until, let's say, 10 o'clock, a few minutes past 10. Let's take 10 minutes, recess, and break, and then we will reconvene in the back room for a couple workshops. So we'll see you in about 10 minutes.